We also talk about cash flow when it comes to our home price appreciation, and that comes from rent data. So our rent right now in Jacksonville, median single family rent price. This is the JWB portfolio, right? Like this is now not Jacksonville, but JWB, which is representative of the workforce housing in Jacksonville, because you guys have 6,000 properties.
Well, we do. We now manage over 7,000 properties,
Look at that.
which is pretty cool. So to get rent data, you really got to find a few different sources and put it all together. There's not one source that's going to give you all the information that you really want to analyze the market. So some of the data is Jacksonville based that we get from our consultants that we pay a pretty penny to be able to get that information. So when we're talking about the Jacksonville median single family rent price, that's coming from macro data.
Yep.
Same thing with the rent price appreciation. When you start to see JWB in front there, that's all micro data that we pull from our database, which now, we do manage over 7,000 properties here, and about 5,600 of them are here right in Northeast Florida.
All right. Significant database here in Northeast Florida. So kind of like what people don't get anywhere else.
Right.
Just
Very
throwing
hard.
that out there. Just throwing it out there if you're on the show. Do you see where do you want to start with these numbers? Anything you want to call out here?
I think when we look at the micro data, the JWB data, this is world-class performance for a property management team. Extremely proud of everybody on our team that works so hard to make these numbers work. At the end of the day, if you're buying rental properties, it all comes down to wonderful management of the asset, because that's what turns these fancy spreadsheets into real dollars in your bank account.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what creates a great experience for you. So really proud to see over 98% occupancy, over 98% rent collection. Property turn costs are significantly down. The days that it takes to take a home from during a property turn of only 10 days is something that we continue to shine with and get better and better year over year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we haven't even talked about some of the things that ultimately separate, I think, a great rental experience from maybe an average one, just limiting turnover. So that comes down to 76% lease renewal.
Yeah.
And an average duration of resident stay of 54 months. We just know rental property owners, I'm a rental property owner, you're a rental property owner, you're probably a rental property owner, or you're thinking about it. The biggest pain point for you comes down to property turn. Maintenance costs, vacancy costs, you have additional fees that you pay, and it all happens. You get punched with a property turn. And so we have constructed our property management to defer that as long as possible, and we invest in the relationship with the resident, and that's why residents choose to renew at such a high rate and stay for such a long time. And the benefit goes to the owner and your returns on investment over the long haul.
Yeah, now having been a rental property investor close to 5 years here, I can definitely say I'm having the most fun when my properties are rented, right? So like the thing I care the most about is this 76% renewal and 4.5 years occupancy, which has been like my experience. Let's talk about the average turn on property days for 10 days. I think when I first read that, I think, oh my gosh, like a resident moves out and I have somebody in 10 days. That's not what that means, right? Like this is
Correct.
Essentially saying from when a resident moves out to it is rent ready for somebody to like look at it. And if they want to move in tomorrow, they could.
Mm-hmm.
That's 10 days. And that's essentially kind of like a minor renovation / glow up of the property that's needed to take it from like one family living there to another family living there, from the moment they move out to getting owner approvals, to getting budget approvals, to getting contractors in, to get it done, to like inspecting it and be like ready to go. That's 10 days, right, JC?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's more than $1,200 worth of work. So when we talk about the property turn cost to owner, that would be the total amount of the work minus the security deposit, which is forfeited back to the owner. So the net cost to the owner is $1,200. So your total cost of work for those average of 10-day jobs is probably $2,500 to $3,000 worth of work, which is typically coordinating a number of trades. So to be able to knock that out,
carpet, whatever
it is, right? To get that all done in a week and a half is something that we're really proud of.
Oh, cool. Average turn cost of 1,200 for. So basically you're saying that that's like, there's a security deposit that's somewhere around $2,000.
The average rent for JWB is $1,536 here. So that is the average security deposit that is held on your behalf as an
Okay.
owner. And when the resident moves out, we of course do an inspection and we determine what damages are caused by the resident.
Mhm.
We follow all the processes that we need to, and ultimately that security deposit is forfeited back to the owner. And so that decreases the net cost to the owner, and that results in about $1,200 net cost to you as an owner.
Okay, awesome. And I was just gonna say the collection rate, like I'm talking about kind of like having a property unoccupied is the most painful moment. So we're minimizing that piece. But that only works if you're actually also getting rent when it's collected. Right. So 98.4% collection rate. Man, that seems really, really high. That is I've gone through very few months in my experience as a JWB investor where rent isn't coming in. It was maybe during COVID, like stuff like that. So that seems to be like a super, super high number where almost everybody is essentially getting their pays on time.
It's something we're really proud of. In a previous quarterly outlook, I totaled up the number of months consecutive that we've collected over 98%. I can't remember what it was. It was over 40 or 50 months consecutively. And I think there's only 1 month in the last like 7 or 8 years that we hadn't reached 98%. And oh yeah, during those 7 or 8 years, it was COVID time as well. So incredible job by our property management team. At the end of the day, you know what? We have to be excellent at property management if you're going to be happy with the investments that you have and if you're going to come back and buy more.
Yeah. And then let's talk about this average rent price versus median square foot rent price. Does that mean that JWB is charging under market rent?
Well, so the median single family rent price is taking all single family homes in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And so we specifically focus on workforce housing. And workforce housing has lower rent rates than the average or median household in Jacksonville. So that's why you're going to see our rent prices are below the median.
Mhm.
What you'll also see is the homes that we sell are priced below the median as well. So if we remember from the previous slide, the median home price in Jacksonville is $369,000. Well, the average turnkey property that we sell is priced at about $235,000.
Yeah.
So you're going to see lower on the price,
Yeah.
and then you'll also see lower on the rent, but that rent to price ratio is actually a lot better.
It sounds like it checks out, right? If
Right.
it's like 330 is the average price, 230 is the average JWB price.
Mhm.
That's a much bigger swing than 1800, 1500, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's talk about the negative number here, GC. 0.4% rent appreciation. Tell me about that. Negative.
Yeah. So, I mean, rent have largely been flat. I think the last time that we did this call, I think it was 0.1% positive. And we just talked about, hey, listen, in the environment that we're in right now with cost across the board rising and affordability being an issue, it's limiting the growth of single family rents. As well as the impact of the flood of inventory on the apartment side over the last few years. And so we've just expected flat, rents to be sort of flat, maybe slightly positive, and they've been kind of just oscillating between there. So I'm sure the next time that we do this report in 3 months from now, it'll be somewhere between 0.4% negative and 0.4% positive. But ultimately, rents are about flat right now.
All right, GC. So rent data looks solid, right? Like we said, it's been pretty flat recently. Everything else performance wise looking really, really good. That means that cash flows to me, I look at this and I think cash flows are stable, right? So
and growing. Because rents over time have grown significantly. Even though they're roughly flat right now, we're looking at year over year. Rents have been going up and up and up. And what hasn't been going up and up for our owners is their costs, meaning their debt costs, because you're in fixed rate loans. And so the majority of your costs stay stable. And over time, rents go up and up and up. So this is, again, playing out like we expect. The model is playing out exactly like we need it to ensure that we hit your financial outcomes.